Hi, I'm Jennifer with Paragon Pearls, and I'm going to give you a little Pearls 101. So when you're looking at pearls, what you're looking at typically is going to be either an imitation pearl, a natural pearl, or a cultured pearl. Let me break them down for you. So an imitation pearl is not a real pearl. This is a completely fabricated, man-made pearl, oftentimes just made of glass. They're pretty, they're round, they're not actually pearls though. There's some brands out there that are known as like Majorca. It's an artificial pearl. It is a completely man-made pearl. This is the kind of stuff you're going to see in costume jewelry. Any of those things, like you get a pearl necklace that's less than $50. Like perfectly round pearl necklace that's less than $50. That's not going to be made out of any kind of a real pearl. Now, if you move to what is a natural pearl is sort of this amazing phenomenon that you don't see very often. They are extremely rare. Essentially, the people who are going to have a natural pearl, these are collectors. They go to auctions and they buy these for millions of dollars. A natural pearl comes out of an oyster that has never been touched by man. We haven't gone in there and a technician hasn't planted a nucleus, is what they do for a cultured pearl, and I'll talk about that. But in a natural pearl, there's no planted nucleus. This is something like a little teeny grain of sand made its way into an oyster, and the oyster does what they do is creates this pearl around the annoyance that was in there. And that little teeny grain of sand can turn into a beautiful pearl. But these are, I said, very rare. These are the kinds of things that, back in the day, when I say back in the day, 200, 300, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago, kings and queens, if they put that in jewelry, that was a real natural pearl. And extremely rare. For instance, Paragon pearls, we sell cultured pearls. This is a real pearl, but it is also a farmed pearl. So what this means is that essentially you've got a technician that works for the pearl farm. They're going to put a nucleus, which is, think of it like a bead, that they'll put inside the oyster, and the oyster creates the pearl around it. So we have in our collection here freshwater cultured pearls. We've got the Tahitian, we have the South Sea. So you'll be able to see these. We've got the Japanese pearls. So all of these are cultured pearls, but they are a real pearl. They're just not a natural pearl. So the natural pearl, again, millions of dollars. A cultured pearl, still a luxury item, but a luxury item that everybody can actually procure. A couple of different things that you'll see with a cultured pearl. Again, the colors can vary dramatically, but they're going to come in a couple of different shapes. So you're either going to have round or baroque. So we've got a round and baroque. They can be in any color. I'm just choosing white. So these happen to be white South Sea pearls. So we've got the round on this side, the baroque on the other side. So when we talk about the South Sea colors, you can see here we've got the whites, and then we also have the goldens that they're showing. So both of these are South Sea pearls. They can be in round or baroque. I'm showing them here in just the round, but they can be either shape. And then if I move over to the Tahitians, Tahitians can be any shade of anything from a light silvery gray color. They sometimes even have sort of a greenish or purplish tone to them. So the Tahitians are often just called a black pearl, but they don't have to literally be black pearls. You can see all the different color variations, and these are all natural color, 100% natural color. These have not been color treated or anything like that. They come out of the oyster looking just the way that they look here, but there's a lot of different colors that are available when it comes to the Tahitians. So this would be examples of, again, your South Sea and your Tahitians, all natural color. So what we're looking at here are some examples of freshwater pearls. This is also being referred to sometimes as Chinese pearls. And the colors can range dramatically in this, but what you're going to see primarily here are those different shades of pinks, the peach colors, you'll get some purple tones to that, and of course also the really white tones there as well. So beautiful white color. This is all natural color, but those pinks, those purples, those peaches, that's what the freshwater are known for. So we're looking at the Japanese pearls right now. They're sometimes referred to as akoyas or cultured pearls. Of course, everything we've been looking at here are cultured pearls, but these were the first pearls to be cultured that were introduced to the general public. So it sometimes is a generalization that akoyas or Japanese pearls are called cultured pearls exclusively. All right, so we're coming to the question and answer portion of Pearls 101. So I'll start out here with what is the most expensive, and we'll work down from there. The first one that we have up are our golden South Sea pearls. So you're going to find these in Indonesia. They're the most expensive because they are the rarest, and then actually getting this nice deep golden color is just not as common either. So because they're more rare, more difficult to procure, that also makes them more expensive. So again, you find these folks in Indonesia. You're going to find your South Sea, the white South Sea pearls. These are going to come from Australia. So again, this is a South Sea pearl as well. And the whites do come in a lot of shades of white. These you're going to be finding in Australia. I'll call it the that traditional black pearl or Tahitian pearl, which can again come in a lot of different colors for black pearls. They can be the silvers, kind of purples to them, greens a little bit. These you find in Tahiti. So this is a Tahitian black pearl. I've got an example here of the Japanese akoyas. So these are from Japan. And then the last one I'm showing you here is the freshwater. So these are the Chinese pearls. They come from China, and they're also the least expensive. People ask, why are these less expensive than the other pearls that we carry? And that's because the oyster that produces the freshwater pearls, they can actually produce up to 30 pearls at one time, where the others you're looking at, they are only going to maybe produce 1 or 2 at a time at the most. So because they can produce so many at one time, it also does make that cost a little bit more, cost effective, which we pass on to our customers. Second question that we get a lot is, are these cultured pearls or are they real pearls? And the answer is yes, they are real cultured pearls. Let me break down what a cultured pearl is. I might have mentioned it earlier, but in essence, what a cultured pearl is going to be a pearl that is helped out by man. So what that means is that there is a technician that's going to take it's called a nucleus, and it's essentially an organic bead that's made out of mother of pearl, and they're going to implant that inside the oyster. So these oysters are in a farm, so these pearls are being farm raised. A cultured pearl is a real pearl, so it is doing the same job that a pearl would do in nature all on its own, but we're helping it along by giving it that little seed to start out with. So when that nucleus goes inside the oyster, it's going to build around that, and that's what creates that pearl. I'll say anywhere from a year to 4 years later, we have a pearl. So the third question that we get a lot is, how do you judge the quality of a pearl? So we really have just a couple of categories for this one. So you've got luster, you're going to have smoothness, and then you're going to have shape. So what we mean by luster, that's going to be that shine that you get it. Sometimes it's going to have sort of an iridescence to it. When you look at the light on that, you can kind of sometimes see that almost like even in a white pearl, kind of like a rainbow kind of effect to it. And then you're going to have the smoothness. And when I say smoothness, you can have a beautiful round pearl that is completely smooth, like glass. Still a pearl, not glass, but like glass. Or you might have one that isn't as good quality, and it'll have some marks on it, some like little pitted spots. And then shape. Shape is also a big contributor for that one. So as far as quality, the round, or the more round that it is, the more expensive that will be. It's harder for a oyster to make a perfectly round pearl than it is for it to make a Baroque shaped, kind of funny shaped pearl. So they might look really cool, but it's more expensive when they're round. So the next question that we get from people frequently is, where do the pearls get their color? Now, I think I mentioned before, all of our pearls are natural color. So that means that we haven't done anything to treat that. The color comes from the oysters themselves. So those different places that I said those oysters come from, Tahiti or from Australia, the South Seas pearls, or the Chinese pearls, all these different pearls come from different places. The oysters that live in those places have different colors of the inside of the oyster. So if you opened up the oyster, in the inside, that mother of pearl, so what the inside of the oyster is made out of, is where those colors come from. That's what they look like inside. Another question that we're asked frequently is, how long does it take to make a pearl? So how long will you have that pearl in an oyster before we have a complete pearl? And that's really up to the people that are farming those oysters. It kind of depends on how long they want to leave them in there. The longer that an oyster is going to keep that pearl inside, the more quality that you're going to get out of that, typically speaking. So the luster is usually higher. It could be any place from 1 year to 4 years. So it depends on what that farmer can afford to do also. They don't want to leave them out there for too long because they want to get their harvest in and bring those all to market to sell them. So it's not exactly a finite number, but roughly speaking, anywhere from 1 year to 4 years. So you might wonder, what is in the middle of an oyster? What starts the whole process for making that pearl? So what do we stick in there? Well, the technician goes in and puts in what's called the nucleus. Now, the nucleus is not a little plastic bead. It's actually made out of mother of pearl. An interesting tidbit, the pearls that are made all over the world come from a nucleus, start from a nucleus that's from a mussel that comes out of the Mississippi River. So there's your interesting tidbit for the day. All right, the $1 million question. How do you know if it's real or not? Is this a real pearl or not? All right, so first off, I'm just gonna say, any customer that's out there shopping for pearls, you want to trust who you're getting your pearls from. A couple of things that are tips in finding or seeing if something's real would be rubbing two pearls together. A real pearl, or I should say a cultured pearl, when you rub two pearls together will have a little bit of a, I'll say graininess in the respect that it's not completely smooth. It's not totally slick. If it's too smooth, it's probably not real. So a little bit of graininess to it. Some people say they'll lick it, rub it on their teeth, but ew, right? Two pearls together will get the same effect as if you were rubbing it on your teeth. So the people who want to test a pearl to see if it's a real pearl, you can kind of feel that a little bit. It's subtle, but that would be a way you'd be able to do it. But I would say your best advice to somebody is they got to trust where they're buying their jewelry from. And that's why there's jewelers that have been around for generations, because they're well trusted. So it's likely that your customers will ask, how do I take care of my pearls? It's simple. Pearls are born in water, right? So a little bit of a little water, damp cloth, very simple. You can just rub them off gently. The most important thing to tell them not to do is anything with chemicals. No chemicals. Just a damp cloth and rub them off, perfect. Some things to avoid for sure. Don't wear your pearls in a pool. There's a lot of chemicals in a pool. We will sometimes get a customer that's concerned about, well, can I wear perfume? Absolutely. But she should spray her perfume on before she puts on the pearls. So think of it that way. Don't spray anything right on the pearls, so that way if she puts her perfume on first, she can dress up with her pearls afterwards.